Here we are going to discuss some scenarios related to implants. Now, as a general dental office or a general dentist, you can expect to see a couple of patients that would either require a prosthesis placement like a crown on a previously placed implant, surgery that has been done by some other dentist, and now this patient wants an implant supported prosthesis, or in a simple word, crown. Or somebody who has uh, recently received a crown. It could be from you or from another dentist, and they are coming to you as a new patient and they want you to take care of that implant. How you are going to do that? What parameters you are going to assess before giving them some recommendation, some advice, some tools and techniques to use in order to care for the implant. So we will go over one by one. The idea here is to do a thorough evaluation about the periodontal status, about the implant itself, before going ahead and providing any recommendation or any treatment if needed. I just want to remind everyone here that while you are going through these slides, do pay attention to the text here, because every slide is the situation itself, and there are various situation can be formed from one slide. For example, if this slide talks about assessment of a patient who wants to get the implant supported crown, then here are the things that you need to assess. So, if a situation has been presented to you, a patient is in the chair, and you want to assess that patient for a crown that needs to be supported on the implant. So, here are the things that you want to look for, and these are the parameters that will give you an idea that that person or that patient is ready to get the crown or would require some referral or some surgical intervention before placing a crown on the top of the implant. So, while doing assessment, we have to make sure that we are updating the medical and dental history, and this will give us an idea that if we are going to face any complications, the patient could be a diabetic, and we can see a enhanced tissue response towards plaque or debris, and that could be a challenging scenario. Similarly, if the patient complains of any trauma during dental procedures or delayed healing when the dental surgery was performed in the past, or if they are allergic to anesthetic, things like that could be useful here if they are brought up while updating the medical and dental history. When we are doing the soft tissue assessment, it will help us find if there is any prevalent inflammation in the tissues, in the soft tissues, and that's when we can go ahead and find out the cause of the inflammation, and that can be evaluated from the way the contour of the soft tissues has been affected, or if there is increased redness in the tissues. All this will point towards the direction of presence of inflammation in the gingiva or the soft tissues. Now, we have to be objective about plaque. So, while doing an assessment or evaluation, we tell our examiner who asks that how you are going to assess this implant patient. We tell them we are going to look for plaque, but we have to tell them objectively what or how much plaque is acceptable, and after which level we have to refrain from going ahead with the proposed treatment. We want to establish a routine hygiene practice, and once we can confirm that the patient has been following the hygiene guidelines, that's only when we will go ahead and place an implant. So plaque index can be used here, for example O'Leary, Lindquist. Further details can be available on the internet if you are interested in, but this is all that's our major concern, to inform the examiner that we will be objective. We have to record the findings that plaque level is acceptable because it's scored this much on this index. It is unacceptable because this scored this much on this index. Clinical probing depth is also an important indicator or a parameter which will help us find the level of attached gingiva or the level of bone around the implant. Now, some people were in conflict that metal probe should not be used around implant, and some were in the favor of using a plastic made periodontal probe in order to find out the probing depth. But all those studies have been inconclusive, and metal probes have been used with safety, and as such, there are no recorded findings of its adverse effects. So, use of a probe is helpful in diagnosing and assessing the condition of tissues around the implant. When we talk about bleeding or probing, the slightest provocation of gingiva or mucosa with the probe, if it leads to bleeding, gives an idea of the presence of inflammation in the tissues, which means that there is some etiological or causative factor present that is causing the bleeding. And in order to handle that, we just have to find out the cause and establish a routine how we can deal with that etiological factor. So, if this tissue inflammation is present, it can easily be revealed through probing, and that's when the bleeding spots will appear. When it comes to suppuration, we have to check if there is any abscess or pus draining out from the zone where the implant is placed. And if that's happening, we might want to stop, address the cause, and then we might want to modify our approach towards placing the prosthesis. When we talk about stability of soft tissue margins, it in a simple language means recession. So if a baseline value has been determined that there was no recession when the crown was placed, and later on patient comes to you for maintenance of that implant, for cleaning, general scaling, and you determine that the value is now 1 to 2 millimeter, it has receded, so gives an indication that the soft tissue margins are not stable here. Presence of keratinized tissue is not much of a big issue. If there is an absence of keratinized tissue, we have to evaluate case by case and see if there is a surgical intervention that is needed where a keratinized tissue flap is placed in that zone where the keratinized tissue is actually absent. We have to look for mobility. If the implant is completely mobile, it gives an indication that it has failed, and now we have to take that out. And if it's a multi-unit prosthesis, the mobility in one implant could be hidden, so we might want to remove the prosthesis and try to see if individual implant is fitted there, they are stable, and see if one of them is mobile. That could be the cause of the mobility in the prosthesis as well. Check for occlusion. Look for any parafunctional habits that could be affecting. Check that the occlusion is proper in the vertical dimension that has been established. Bone level is an important indication as to what's going on with the tissues around the implant, how well they have adapted, and we might want to use a periodontal probe to determine that, along with the radiograph, to find out how the bone is being affected after the placement of implant. A base level should always be determined once the crown or prosthesis is placed, and over a period of time it should be monitored on every hygiene appointment or any established intervals that are used for the maintenance of dentition of that patient.